Hello and welcome. This is it. The final race in the ultimate virtual season. I wasn't quite expecting the very start of qualifying to be this interesting, but now I have to commentate it. We have, we have 3 minutes of qualifying here at a very, very rainy Interlagos circuit. 50% rain enabled only for the finale of the ultimate virtual season. You can see we have almost an even split of drivers on the wets versus inters, maybe 9 to 11 I think, or 8 to 12. It's really tight. The track is drying up. It is a little bit wet already, so we're not going to have any representative times for the next 2, maybe 3 laps, or for the first 2-3 laps. A lot of the drivers, those on the inters, 9 of those drivers stayed out for an extra lap because the inters are able to deal with drier conditions. Now in qualifying, that's not necessarily a good strategy because you want as many laps on that soft as you possibly can have, and with that pit exit, meaning you won't get a good time on an out lap. You want to be on a soft as quickly as possible. Maybe they won't mind too much though. The Neon Sunset Virtual cars, who currently sit quite high up the timing sheets, are the 2 cars prolifically on these intermediates. Eurist sets the fastest lap by over, or by now just under a second, but still very, very quick. That is an out lap as well, don't forget that. So all of these drivers will be on their flyers now. There is no tyre wear here, so they have all of the rest of these laps to set the fastest times they possibly can, and I fear that Eurist may be going even quicker on this lap in what is said to be his final ever race, or final race of this stint of his career with Team Velocity. But Kubo, look at the run that he's got there. He goes top of the timing sheets, but Shiloh goes fastest overall by 0.6 of a second. What an amazing lap from the American driver. She may yet be on pole position because the rain is coming back. This will be the final lap for these drivers if it doesn't get interrupted by rain already. We'll see as the front runners go through here. Kubo, will they be affected? Yes, it's a poor run up the main straight. Will anybody stay out to finish off the lap? I do very much doubt it. Lots of the drivers in the middle sector, you can hear the squeal of the tyres. This may be it, folks. I feel like we're not going to get any further improvements in this incredibly rain-affected qualifying session. The rain's going to lessen in intensity, but that won't help those drivers who desperately need it. Some dry running, including Grandy, who is 17th. Currently in the timing sheets. The man's 2nd in the championship. Unbelievable. This has completely thrown this title fight in any which way. Unbelievable that. Pit Crew sits 4th in the timing sheets. Grandy wasn't able to get a clean lap in. A lot of these drivers behind have stayed out, but these are going to be our final times, it looks like. None of those behind, the likes of Hetmenica and all those who are still out on the soft, are going to be improving on what is now a very, very wet Interlagos track. For the first time in her career, Shiloh is on pole position here in Brazil. What a way to start the final race of your rookie season as you're looking to take the championship. It will be difficult. She'll need to overturn 22 points on Pit Crew, requiring him to finish 9th or lower. But we've seen stranger things happen this week already. Kubo will start on the front row for Neon Sunset Virtual. Wow. Eurist starts 3rd, just behind his old teammate. Then it's Pit Crew, our championship leader, which is funny to say that because he hasn't been for so much this season. But he will start from 4th. Rito starts 5th, ahead of Caddo. And then it's Bluebell and Toddsod, Corvid, and then Goose, double FVR top 10. Somehow I Made It starts ahead of teammate Anti, that's a surprise, on the 6th row. Andrews starts ahead of old friend and compatriot Hetmenica on the 7th row. Then it's Fox and Suicide. Grandy, all the way down in 17th, is an enormous, enormous upset there. That has seriously thrown this championship massively in the favour of Pit Crew. Pappy starts 18th, Vaporeon 19th, and Abva 20th. We'll take a look at the review of the index and the upgrades. You can see ThunderX already declared our constructors champions, but basically from 2nd all the way down to 8th, it's blown wide open. BFX start the day in 8th. I very much doubt they'll end up there based off the qualifying form of the likes of Bluebell, starting up in 7th place. And their car 6.1 tied fastest overall. Now look out for NSV, Furia and Flying V Racing, all with 6 speed on what is a very speed dependent circuit. The upgrades this week, the big one was ThunderX not getting that speed upgrade. It's hard to put Grandy's poor qualifying down to that alone, but you never know. Next we'll look at the standings. Of course, we've just we can look over them now. Anti and Shiloh both very close to being out of contention, but 22 points is what separates them from Pit Crew in the top spot. If Grandy can't make a good enough recovery drive though, one of these drivers may more than likely, probably Shiloh starting on pole position, has a great shot at 2nd in the championship. Pit Crew though, all he needs to do is score some decent points and make sure his teammate can't recover those 17 places with a car that is not as dominant as it once was. That speed upgrade failing may really come to hurt Grandy. Here are the driver standings, the more official format. You can have a look over those. It's the Porsche boys, bottom of the table. And unless they could take home some decent points today, I don't see that changing. They will be relegated. And then the Constructors' Championship, finally. You can see Flying V Racing made great inroads last week, but they may fall back down again this week. We're not sure. Lots of teams in contention in that mid-pack. We'll keep you updated on the battles as we go along. That is all. Time to start the final race before a nice long break of Ultimate Virtual. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix. Here we go, folks. One final time this season. We're underway here in Interlagos. It's a wet, rainy start for all of our drivers on the wet weather tyres. Shiloh, then Kubo. Eurus with Pit Crew immediately looking to put pressure on at this race start. Caddo fainting to the inside. Rito up the inside of Pit Crew, who's already dropped a position. Will he drop 2? Todsod looking really racy down the inside. Pit Crew defending for all his life. Bluebell really thrown backwards there. He's lost a couple spots off the start of the race as well. Goose looking to the outside of Rito. Todsod goes wide. Goose goes into his teammate, but they both make their way through. A good start from the FVRs. A poor start from Eurus. He's down now into 5th place. Pit Crew boost past Kubo. He's up into 2nd. He is looking to take this championship by the horns in front of his home fans here in Interlagos. If he can become champion and maybe even win the race on top of that, that would be quite incredible, but we'll have to wait and see. Caddo to the outside of Pit Crew. Can't make the move stick as they come into the right-handed. Goose switched up by Kubo, who goes up the inside into that tight hairpin. Rito, and somehow I made it fighting out over here. Grandy looking to scrap in. Look at the start that he's had, though. It's incredible. Up to 8th place already. He is not letting this championship slip away from him too easily. In 2 laps, he's made up 9 positions in that ThunderX car. What a start. That's incredible. He really needs to catch up to the rest now, though. Rito is a man experienced at winning championships at this circuit. Experienced winning championships at finales in general. Kubo, wow, look at this battle with Todsod and Goose. All these cars slipping and sliding away. The track slowly drying out, but slowly the key word there. Pit Crew makes a mistake coming out of Junsao, and Caddo looks to close up behind him. Shiloh, though, leads this race and is looking to take a race win. That would be amazing for her. Valencia was her first win. This was her first pole position. Can she secure a really high spot in the standings with victory here today? She may be the deciding factor here. Pit Crew only needs to not be outscored by Grandy by more than 4 points or by 4 points or more. But if he can't win the race, that will be a big dent in those hopes. Kubo and Todsod side by side there. Kubo took a perfect hat-trick at Vallelunga. Todsod still looking for his first race win. Kubo is into the pit lane. Interestingly enough, Todsod stays out, Eurus stays out, Rito stays out, but Kubo and Goose, the old hats, are in. Grandy is in as well. This is a big make or break call. Do you go safe as Grandy, having gotten yourself up into the top 10 already, or do you go for the riskier undercut? But if rain comes back, then that immediately will do you a world of pain. That question will be decided in the next 20 seconds or so. As we can see, Kubo has already gotten rid of Bluebell, and Grandy really not too far behind. He's taken the medium compound tyre. Lots of those around him have taken the soft. These drivers all now coming into the pit lane. Shiloh, Pit Crew, Kado, Todsod, Urist and Rito. Will they have been undercut? Anti in off his wets. Bluebell in. Goose on the hards, flies down the main straight. Most crucially, Grandy on the mediums. What can he do here as he gets a good exit out of the first couple corners? It doesn't really make too much of a difference, actually. He's still just behind Rito. He's in 9th place now. Shiloh still leads. Then it's Pit Crew. Kubo now up to 3rd position. That's a good undercut on his part. He's done well with that. Kado dropped it down to 4th. It's been an interesting season for him and Velocity, and obviously we won't know the final championship position until the very, very end of the race. But yeah, you can see there he's just behind his teammate, 2 points back from Urist. It's not in a particularly great position as well. It's sort of 11th place in the standings, really. It's a little bit rough. It's been very mid-season from that team. I think they are looking to shake up their driver lineup a little bit for next season, see what they can do with that. Rain on its way back. All drivers on the slick tyres, so it doesn't matter, but those on the softs will probably have had a bit more of a short-term advantage from that. Pit Crew is in. Shiloh is in as well. It's going to be nip and tuck on the pit exit, actually. No, it is Pit Crew, who I think will be just ahead. Oh, it's going to be so close. But look at this as they unghost on the pit exit. Shiloh, though, with a great run there, does get through on Pit Crew as they head into turn 4. Heavy rain on the way. Rito may have made the wrong strategic call with the inters, but with how frequently the rain flicks in and out at this circuit, you never quite know. Grandy, though, looks to make the move here. Can he get himself up into 6th place already? Make sure he guards that inside against the man that he's fought for so many race wins against, the man that he cruelly had the championship stolen from him in the very last race. 24 points back Rito came from and managed to win the title. Grandy qualified low and finished low in what was not a very quick Thunder X car that day. We may be underestimating the Thunder X car here today because the progress he has made, 11 positions, is absolutely incredible. Pit Crew is now down into 3rd position. This could be really crucial. Pit Crew currently outscoring his teammate by 7 points. He would win the championship by 11. But at the race start, he would have won the championship by 29. So that gap closing has already caused huge significance for these drivers. Shiloh still leads, as she has done pretty much from the race start. But it's a very, very close pack for the podium positions behind. Todsod needs things to go a bit more his way, but he's got a very, very fast fin now. Just on his tail, he looks to just do a little bit of boost to get away. This would be an amazing finish for the Canadian driver. We can have a look at his season, how that's unfolded. Todsod 8th in the standings, got a 2nd place at Innsbruck Ring, the win stolen away from him. Got a 2nd place at Singapore, ditto with that. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but he has brought some very, very good performances for Flying V Racing, a team looking to get right up to the front of the grid once again. If he can make that happen with a podium here today, you never know. Kubo past Shiloh, up into 2nd place he goes. It is very wet out there on track. You can see the spray coming off the back of these cars makes it quite difficult to maneuver around a very tight and twisty Interlagos circuit with these drivers, I'm sure, having quite a lot of fun while also keeping in mind the big championship implications. Goose carries a lot of overspeed into that right-hander and manages to get the car stopped in the end. Urus the same with Rito scrapping behind him. These drivers not enjoying their stints on the Inters, and unlike a lot of races, oh, he's just again going quite wide. Gets a good run on Rito there. We'll be able to pull to the outside to the triple left-hand kink. Pit Crew leads this race. Shiloh has really dropped back, actually. She's been overtaken by Kubo now. Kado still running in that solid 4th place. Having a look at his season as well, he sits 11th in the standings. We saw that earlier. He got a podium in the opening race. It hasn't managed one since 5th, 6th and 5th. His only point scores. He did manage, though, pole position in Singapore. Shiloh closing in on Kubo. It's the American versus the Pole. Can these drivers find their way through this battle? Clearly Shiloh pulls to the inside, up the back straight. Does go into 2nd place. Pit Crew now under pressure. We'll keep an eye on Grandy. He's not managed to get rid of Todsod just yet. We've got light rain coming back. This might be a better condition, I think, for the likes of Urus and Rito, who have definitely dropped positions early on in this race. It's Anti versus Andres on the cusp of the points. Hetmanica is also not too far off, but they will need a lot of points today in order to get ahead of Pappy Pops. If you look 37 to 60, that would require basically a race win from Porsche, or if not that, then at least something like 4th and 5th wouldn't even be enough, actually. No, they need 3rd and 4th pretty much. That's not going to happen. Porsche are all but relegated, barring what would have to be an absolute miracle. They had that last season, but they had that with one of the fastest cars on the grid. They do not have that now. Kubo slingshots around pit crew, and he, for the first time in this race, will now inherit the lead in what has basically turned into a bit of Brazil NASCAR at this Interlagos circuit, which does host quite a lot of it. Kubo defends to the inside, but pit crew uses that boost and just slides his way past. Shiloh, though, putting Kubo under pressure. He was first at the start of the lap. By turn 5, he's already now down to 3rd position. Shiloh, though, gets a poor line. The back markers starting to get in the way a little bit. Vaporeon and somehow made it, fighting over 19th and 20th positions. Both of them, if we're being completely honest, have had absolutely terrible seasons. Rito has dispatched of Fox on that intermediate tyre. Somehow made it, stuck behind Vaporeon. Look at this train of cars. Kado through on the man that he replaced at Velocity. Kubo now down to 4th. Wow. And Kado now through to the race lead. What a brilliant last lap that he's had. He's absolutely giving it his all on this in-lap. Shiloh and pit crew now side by side. This is no longer over the race lead. And Kubo still really struggling to get past these back markers. Fox is the first driver into the lane. Eurus and Rito the option 2. They decided not, because they are on those inters. They will be the last drivers to come round and box. Kado is in. Pit crew, Shiloh and Kubo all in as well. We'll see how they shake out on the pit exit. It is Kado, then very, very close behind, but the angle of the pit lane means that it will be not pit crew, Shiloh, because she was on the softs and therefore gets that better exit from pit lane. Pit crew now down into 3rd position. Again, still on course to win the championship. Grandy seems to be stuck in 7th. You'd think that the pace of the Thunder X, it is really the case that once drivers get into a position, they can get into a real rut where it's quite difficult to get out of that. But yeah, look at the fight for the lead going on up here. This is all 4 cars in contention for the race win. Absolutely incredible scenes. Shiloh has won this season. Kubo has won this season. Kado has not. Pit crew has. So Kado is the only driver here still seeking for his first win of the season. He won his home race at the French Grand Prix last season. Pit crew will be a little nervous now, but that 5-second gap back to Todd Sod, I think, will ease his nerves just a little bit. It's a great race for the FVR cars. They are looking to cling on to a 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship, which would be their best ever finish. But look at Grandy here on the soft compound tyres. Makes it look easy on the exit of the left-hander there versus the double hard struck FVRs. Can he make another position up here? 33.07. He sets the fastest lap of the race on that lap as well. He is looking to get himself unstuck. As soon as he passes Todd Sod, he has just a few seconds to make up, and then he is right in contention with this massive podium pack. He will be just 2 positions behind his teammate if Kubo can catch up to the back of these drivers. Again, he's just fallen off a little bit there. Pit crew up the inside of Kado, back into 2nd place he goes. Fascinating to watch. Grandy now up into 5th place. He has 4.8 seconds and he's in instantly. Really interesting. Is that the right call? We don't know. The rain will be coming. How quickly is the question. I mean, you can see these drivers sort of making their way around the middle sector at the moment. He's going to have a slow exit from the pit lane as he goes through the left-hander of turn 4. Now the rain hits. Okay, we'll see how Pit crew is doing. Heavy rain on the way. Pit crew swept wide at that final corner. We'll lose a lot of time, but I think all of these drivers will be in for wets. This will be huge then if the full wet weather stays or if it goes. Shiloh, with quite a late pit box, will have ample time to react to that. Kubo is already going. Pit crew now down in 4th place. Look at Grandy coming down the main straight. The heavy rain is not going to stay for too much longer either. The intermediate tyres have propelled Grandy through. He is now 2.35 seconds behind his teammate, having started an incredible 15 positions below. He now has sights on the man who only just very recently, in the very last race, taken that championship lead off Grandy. Grandy has held the championship lead in his career for races and races and races. I mean, he has for so long held the championship lead and he has never won a Drivers' Championship. Constructors, yes, they finally picked that up last race. The Heavy Rain is back. 2 seconds separate the Thunder X boys. All the while, it's an amazing scrap between the Frenchman and the Pole. Up here for the podium positions. Shiloh looking to check out for her second win of the season. These drivers looking to fight for all they can muster. Caddo, though, wide at that final corner. That might give Pit Crew a bit more of a chance. Grandy, interestingly enough, not really losing time despite the really heavy rainy conditions. That's de-intensifying to light rain at the moment. Pit Crew currently beating his teammate by 6 points in the standings. This could be a huge moment though. The two Thunder X cars split by so far after qualifying. Maybe Pit Crew started 4th. I don't exactly. Yeah, he did start 4th. So they were split by 13 positions after qualifying. The track is drying out. This will play into the favour of Grandy. The stars have aligned for this man who started so low down the order, but Pit Crew looks to just get away while he can make advantage of that wet tyres while the track is still very dry. Shiloh still leads, but Caddo looking to get a move here, goes wide, but gets that move done. As they approach turn 4, Caddo leads this race once again. We are just shy of halfway through the Brazilian Grand Prix this season, and it has been an absolute thriller from the huge qualifying deficit. But look, Grandy dropping off here. Weirdly, he had much better pace in the full wet conditions than he does now in quite light rain. He's dropped a good 2 seconds on Pit Crew. He never quite got that overtake done either. That's really fascinating. Pit Crew's put in some decent lap times. Kuba 35.2, Pit Crew 33.9, Grandy 35.9. He's dropped 2 seconds on his teammate, just shy of that in the last lap, and we're not sure what's happened there. He's now just 3 seconds back. He's not in a position where he'll be stuck there for the rest of the race because of a big difficulty. I can't even explain that. They're in the same car. They don't. Either of them have any tokens. Clouds are coming soon. Will Grandy be in? No, he's staying out. So for the first time, despite it being in the pit lane, he will pass his teammate, and Grandy from 17th on the grid leads here in Interlagos. That is not something I thought I'd be saying after qualifying. Caddo is through on Todd Sod. Rain coming back now would be absolutely enormous. The weather market is moving towards cloud, and it's not stopping at light cloud either. But he'll need a very, very quick rain announcement. Yes, there it is! Unbelievable! It's heavy rain. It is heavy rain. But look at these drivers. Oh my god, Grandy stayed out. Of course he has, because he's on the inters. Right. I thought Caddo was going to do like a little switchback on him there. He nearly got dragged out of the pit lane by Caddo. This is just incredible. Caddo is sort of our net race leader, but isn't really. Todd Sod has propelled himself up into what could be his second place of the season. Grandy leads the Brazilian Grand Prix now very much out of his own accord. Shiloh, once race leader, down to 4th. Pit Crew down to 5th. This would mean Grandy starting the race on what was something like a 27-point deficit on Pit Crew. If Pit Crew was in first, Grandy not scoring any points, then yes, no, it would have been 29-point deficit. Has overturned that by 40 points and now leads the championship by 11. Well, by 12 because he has the fastest lap. So if I think Pit Crew did lead at some point when Grandy was outside the points, that means that at that point it was 29 points, the difference between the drivers. And now it's 12 in the favour of Grandy, a 41-point swing. That is insane. Heavy rain is here to stay, and this is a good indicator. Caddo, on the full wets, pitted, as Grandy stayed out, pretty much was only a little bit ahead of Todd Sod. Todd now really sliding around on what are quite old inters on quite a wet track. The clouds have come back, but the heavy rain is coming back as well. So this may not all be wrapped up in a nice bow yet for Grandy. Remember, we still have 22 laps left to run in this race. Gosh, I couldn't tell you what the final outcome of this is going to be. This is edge of the seat action. Something I can tell you, with Hetmanica running in 16th and Vaporeon in 20th, relegation looks pretty much confirmed for the Porsche team, who are not going to be the Porsche team next season, and some would argue haven't really been the Porsche team this season. Not the one that we knew and loved. Caddo on the wets, closing in on Grandy. This would close that gap quite substantially. Remember, Grandy does need to beat Pit Crew by 4 points at the very least. He's in off the inters. This is huge. He's on to full wets. Caddo through, Todsod through, Shadow through. Pit Crew has dropped back. We may yet see a confrontation between these two drivers. Grandy is now out on fresh wet weather tyres, but Pit Crew has no pace. He led the race. He had, at the time, a 29-point championship lead at his home circuit. But even now, with Grandy coming in for new wets, this may be inevitable. Fresh wet compound tyre for Grandy. We'll take a look at what would happen if there was only 4 points between them. For instance, a 4th and 6th finish come the end of the race. Grandy won in Saudi Arabia and as a 2nd place in Monaco. Pit Crew won in Turkey and as a 2nd place in Lithuania. That would mean a countback would go in the favour of 2 4th places for Pit Crew, only 1 for Grandy. 2 4th places for Grandy, only 1 for Pit Crew. So Grandy would win if they tied via having more 4th place finishes, with the number of wins, 2nds and 3rds completely tied. That is quite remarkable. Caddo leads this race. He looks to win his first race of the season. Jurist now down to 8th actually. He was doing very well in qualifying early stages, but doesn't look to have stuck around. Grandy may have made the right call, despite the fact the track is now drying. He really would still be struggling out there on those old wets. Pit Crew is just behind him, and this is really fascinating. Grandy, as it stands, lead the championship by a single point, and now Pit Crew leads the championship by a single point because Grandy is only 2 points ahead of him. Oh no, that means that Pit Crew leads the championship by 2 points. Silly me. But look at that, just that one Kubo overtake has flipped who our champion will be this season. Caddo still leads. Shiloh not quite got the pace she had earlier in the race. We are exactly a third of the way through, 2/3 of the way through this Grand Prix, the half-hour race that is reserved only really for Monaco and Interlagos. And the rain is still sticking around. A lot of these drivers on quite old wet weather tyres. Pit Crew is behind his teammate, but as it stands is still the championship leader. That has flicked around so much today. Like mentioned before, at one point Pit Crew led the championship by 29 points. At another point, Grandy led the championship by 12. Now Pit Crew leads by just 2 points. Incredible. The gods have aligned these two ThunderX teammates who, and just as a little anecdote, in Season 3, it was an amazing championship fight between the two Neon Sunset Virtual teammates. That's their new name. Two British Aerial Virtual teammates, Eurist and Jake. And in the end, Jake lost out to Eurist by only a handful of points, coming into the final race having led. So, those two drivers were not on speaking terms. Jake was actually choosing upgrades deliberately to make the car slower so Eurus wouldn't be able to close the gap coming into the final rounds. I mean, this was the level of rivalry. The ThunderX boys have always worked together, have always tried their very best to get the team what it deserves. And with X610, the original owner of the team and driver, coming back at the very end of this season, the team has finally secured their Constructors' Championship. But look at this. Pit Crew doesn't need to make the overtake, but I think we're going to see it for the first time in this race. Pit Crew and Grandy side by side, and Pit Crew takes the position. Grandy immediately gets him back though. This will not be entirely consequential in of itself, because as it stands, Pit Crew can finish a position behind Grandy if it is as low down as this and still be fine. What Pit Crew cannot afford to do is lose another position to Todsod. They double stack coming into the pit boxes. Pit Crew will be out ahead of Todd. Lots of lapped cars will be getting in the way. Pit Crew needs to get a good drag out of this exit and make sure that he isn't overlapped by any of these cars. Yes, Fox has to veer offline. Todd goes through though, and Pit Crew down to 6th. Grandy is leading the championship on countback with a greater number of 4th place finishes. We will check that just once again. They have equal number of wins. Grandy won in Jeddah. Pit Crew won in Singapore. There in Istanbul, sorry. Then it's equal number of 2nd places. Monaco for Grandy and 2nd place in Lithuania. No 3rd places for either driver. And in terms of 4th places, Pit Crew has just 1 in Monaco, and Grandy has 2 in Austria and Australia. So that is how it stands. Pit Crew, though, back through on Todd. We will turn our attention back to the fight for the race lead if there is a close battle there. But as it stands, these drivers are pretty spaced out. Caddo looking for his 1st win of the season. Velocity's 2nd win of the season after Jurist won, I believe, in Palanga. Is that right? I'm sure it is. Yes, Jurist 10th in the championship. Caddo actually 12th because he's tied with Blue Belt points. And yes, he won in Palanga. But yes, tight fight behind now, finally. Kuba on the soft, getting past Shiloh on the hard. Todd, though, has passed Grandy as well as Pit Crew. Now, this is something Grandy doesn't want. He wants Todd ahead of Pit Crew and there to be 2 separation between them. But Todd now has absolutely shone through the pace. He was down in 7th or 8th earlier, where Goose pretty much is now. But the gamble, staying out on the Inter and then coming in for a wet, or maybe he didn't come for him for a wet. Whatever's happened, he's now up into 3rd place. He's recovered a good few positions in the middle stint of this race. He might even be an outside chance for the win. With the 2 drivers ahead being on the softs, they'll have to come in a bit earlier than Todd. Todd is our lead hard compound driver. Pit Crew right behind Grandy once again now. Will this be the overtake? Up the inside he goes again. 5th place for Pit Crew, 6th place for Grandy. Pit Crew leads his teammate and more importantly leads the championship. We're going to have rain, and this has come in good time for the soft runners who give it a few more laps. They would have been in to the pit lane. Just 9 left to go after the end of this lap. Caddo has an amazing lead. He looks more than likely to win this season finale, as his old real-life teammate Jiruni did back in Season 3, as Bluebell did back in Season 2. He's nowhere today, down in 14th place. He's just come in for the Inters. Goose in there. A good gap between him and Grandy. The clouds are coming back. It's fake rain. Fascinating. Grandy stayed out. Grandy and Pit Crew have stayed out. Oh my lord. Wow. So, Grandy is in 3rd. Pit Crew is in 2nd. The rain has gone. The track is drying. And Caddo will be in at the end of this. Or if not, definitely the next lap. And look at how close these... Oh, but no, the rain's coming back again. So this is going to drop them well down the order. If Caddo didn't come in, no he didn't. He just dodged the pit lane there. That could have been absolutely vital. These drivers will both have to be in. The Thunder X's are double stacking here. Who would have thought that? Separated by 13 positions on the grid. They're both in for the intermediates. Which one of them will have the upper hand coming out of the pit lane? This has really thrown things into disarray for the team. And now it's full wet conditions as well. Pit Crew is one-upped by Grandy. But unless Grandy can also overtake Todd, that's not going to mean anything. And Todd is out on full wet weather tyres, which will be slower for now. But with the clouds rumbling in, this will be huge. So these 2 drivers, had it stayed dry for literally just another lap or 2, would have been 1st and 2nd. At which point Grandy simply would have needed to finish ahead of Pit Crew in order to win the championship. That's a 7-point swing between 1st and 2nd. It's a 3-point swing. No, that wouldn't have worked actually if they were 2nd and 3rd. Grandy finishing 2nd with the fastest lap though, still would have. Fascinating. Grandy, because of his fastest lap point and his 1 position over Pit Crew, is really close, but still is 1 point behind in the championship. What has given us this amazingly close battle, by the way, is the fact that Pit Crew in the last race got screwed over multiple times, didn't end up finishing on the podium with his 2 tokens. I believe he was only 4th. And that may come back to absolutely bite him. We'll check where he did finish. I think it was 6th in the end. So what could have been a race win for him, which would have taken him far and away, you know, running away with the daisies, you're set, right? Especially Grandy qualifying that low. He would have just had to bring home a decent finish, a few points, and mathematically the title is his. Kubo's closed up, by the way. Grandy still ahead of Pit Crew, but still 1 point behind in the championship. What he would really need is somebody like Uris to catch Pit Crew, but that's not happening. This top 6 is completely isolated within of themselves. Just 4 laps left to go, and the championship rests on a knife edge. There is no way of calling which way this is going to go. Kado leads the race by just a few tenths over Kubo. Todd is now just a few tenths behind Shadow. I have a feeling we're going to have one final dramatic twist in this race. No, the light rain is going to stick around. Pit Crew gets a good exit, and for the 3rd time that we've seen on camera, he does move past Grandy and up into 5th place. This will be absolutely incredible. This would be absolutely incredible. Pit Crew at his home circuit in front of his adoring 250,000 fans here at Interlagos. As they saw back in the days of Formula 1 30 years ago, Felipe Massa win the race but lose the title in front of his home fans. They may just see the reverse here today. Kubo goes through into the race lead. 2 laps left here, 3 laps left here. What a close fight we've got. What a close fight we've got for the championship. But Pit Crew now leads it by 5 points. Kado and Kubo, nothing between them. It is really rainy out there on circuit. We may still have an outside shot of Todd Sod finally being the bride instead of the bridesmaid, taking that first win. Kubo really tight behind Kado. This surely is the place where Todd has to just get his engine firing, get a move on. Pit Crew is now a good couple seconds ahead of his teammate. I mean, unless Grandy can magically make up a couple places here, he's done for. There's nothing that, after an amazing recovery drive, that is so commendable, that had him leading the championship at 1 point by 12 points, fully on merit as well. Things have not turned out that way for him. 1 second back is Todd from these top 2. They both slide wide, such is the wetness of the track. It is dry now, but no drivers will be in. We have one final lap of the season as Kubo moves past Kado to take first place, but Kado immediately gets him back. Coming into turn 1 as they drag out of the center as Kubo goes through into the race lead once again. This is an incredibly close battle, and Todd is right behind. He may yet get involved. Kubo looking to just keep this battle. The front 3 separated by a single second. Somehow made it may get in the way here, just shielding off Kado. All of these drivers would love to end their season on a bang if they can, but it looks like as somehow made it covers him off, it will be Kubo unless Kado gets an amazing run, which he does, and he wins by 200ths. Unbelievable ending. Pit Crew finishing ahead of Grandy though is your ultimate virtual world champion. Incredible scenes here at the end in Interlagos. Wow. Kado wins the Brazilian Grand Prix by a hair's breadth after over a half hour of racing. Todd Sod takes another podium. Kubo takes a podium. Shiloh finishes 4th in the end after a pole position. Pit Crew beats teammate Grandy somewhat convincingly too in the end, and he will take the title by just 5 points. Uris claims some points for Team Velocity. Goose for Flying V Racing as well. A great day for that team. Rito takes 9th and Corvid 10th. Double points for Furia Roja in their final race of this era in the sport. Anti takes 11th, Andres 12th, and we'll run you through the rest of the results. Grandy, of course, got the fastest lap of the race, but it wasn't enough for him to take the title. Anti-Andres, Fox and Bluebell. Bluebell, well, disappointingly for BFX, they probably should have done a lot better here today than they did, and that will hurt them in the championship. I was predicting them to move out from 8th place. They won't in the end, they will finish there. Suicide, 15th. Actually, decent pace for the Pappy Pots boys. It's 15th and 17th from them. They made a bit of a habit of finishing in the final 2 spots this season, so they'll be pleased not to. The Fox team had a disappointing end to the season. I feel like the stopping and development of speed in the later part of the season has cost them. Hetmenica and Vaporeon, 18th and 20th, somehow made it, splits them. It has been a pretty terrible season for all of these drivers. I'd include Pappy in that as well, to be totally honest. But that means Porsche, in a somewhat representative fashion, in 18th and 20th, are officially relegated from Ultimate Virtual. They took over Spire Motorsports, one of the original teams, in Season 3, and a driver lineup of Hetmenica and Julo that scored them a good few podiums, a win in Sepang. They did amazingly at the behest of Apple Amazing. Lots of very solid finishes for him and Hetmenica for the team in Season 4. Season 5 was a struggle for them, but they pulled off an amazing final ditch victory in Interlagos. Apple Amazing taking the win there, the first of his career in his final race as well. But no such miracles here today, and by 23 points they are relegated. Still, we will focus higher up in what is probably the tightest end to an Ultimate Virtual race I've seen, at least for many a season. Caddo, with a bit of boost out of the final straight, takes his first victory of the season, and Team Velocity will end it on a high. A win here in Brazil. Kubo second and Todd third, another podium, 3 in his debut season. What an incredible rookie season he's had. Shiloh very much the same, 4th place for her in the end. It wasn't a podium, but it was a great result. 5th place went the way of Pit Crew, and it looked very hairy for him at many stages in the second half of the race, but he did manage to both beat his teammate on track and in the championship standings. 5 points in his favour, and that's all he needed to win the title. Grandy, 6th place with fastest lap. What a recovery drive. He went from 17th all the way to 1st, but settled in the end. 6th place for him. Urist in his final race for Velocity. 7th place, Goose, Rito and Corvid. Wow. What an ending to the season. Thank you so much if you've watched from the very start to the very end. This has been a truly incredibly dramatic end to the season. And it's been a great season all the way through. We've got a long break now, 6 weeks before we return in March for Season 7 of Ultimate Virtual, a new car class and lots of new improvements to the league coming as well, so stay tuned for those. But for now, and for Season 6 of UV, bye-bye.